Welcome to the worst of all of the Coffee Cup of Death series, Some Murderers I Have Known. Today we take up the case of Stephen Allen Thompson, who in 1984 viciously, brutally, horrifically, violently murdered his friend, Robin Ballars, here in Huntsville. He was AWOL from the Navy while he did this, and he was pretty high on I don't know what drugs. But the absolute viciousness of the crime is just staggering. It's hard to believe. I'm sure that I noticed the coverage in 1984 when it was reported on in the newspapers and on the evening news, but you know how news cycles are. Something terrible happens, you react to it, but then very soon, the news moves on and it doesn't affect you. Well, years later, in the late 90s, I got to know his sister because she and I went to the same church, and my sister worked with her at the same company. And, she told the story of her brother, and I wrote him while he was in prison, and he wrote back. He didn't have much else to do, so he was happy for any pen pals. And so we struck up a pen pal relationship. And his final appeals were over. He was going to be executed. And so I went down to see him on death row before the execution. His mother needed a ride down to the prison, and so I picked her up, drove her down there, visited with Steve, and got to know him a little better that day. By the time I had seen him, he had converted to Christianity in prison, and he was a very devout, intensely devotional Christian man at that point. And I've always had a lot of trouble reconciling that devout believer who was sitting there in jail with the vicious, heinous murderer who so brutally killed his friend. I mean, raped, murdered, abused the corpse, tied her up, dragged her behind a car. It was bad. It was a bad one. And that's always stuck with me. But we, prayed with him, said goodbye, and shortly after that, he was transferred down to Atmore, and he was executed May the 8th, 1998. This is the kind of thing that happens to you that you don't shake. All the others were just kind of things that didn't affect me personally, but this one got under my skin a little bit. Next week, we'll do the last few, because I only had a kind of a nodding acquaintance with the rest of the murderers.